Virtual reality is a technology that has only recently made its way into the consumer market. Yet the concept has existed for decades prior, with primitive machines existing as early as 1956. Although these devices were simple, it offered the wearer an immersive dive into an artificial world, a literal virtual reality. The term virtual reality comes from this device simulating a completely digitalized landscape that only exists due to technology creating 3D spaces that allow the user to move, interact, play games and socialize through the headset. Contemporary virtual reality devices offer three main formats for VR, being PC, standalone, and PSVR, as companies such as Oculus, HTC, Sony and Valve offer highly advanced devices for relatively low costs. In recent years, virtual reality has spiked in popularity significantly around the first quarter of 2020, where headsets were sold out near globally due to the large demand over the holidays, which coupled with the pandemic resulted in a near 200% increase of active users engaging with a VR device daily. At this time, the VR community was at its largest, and although percentages of VR users were increasing rapidly, so too were the diagnostics of negative mental health issues, as the pandemic prompted isolation, restrictions to social interaction, and lockdowns in most countries. The coronavirus pandemic started in March of 2020, followed by the lockdowns placed by governments globally in response to the SARS-CoV-2 virus. In Britain, the government had locked down and restricted human interaction outside of the household greatly by limiting the amount of time allowed for exercise and preventing any unnecessary travel. These restrictions have been documented as having serious negative implications to individuals' mental health through the lack of human interaction, time spent outside, and time spent at social events or hobbies. These restrictions lasted from March to June in 2020, prior to further lockdowns in September, resulting in similar restrictions to interactions and group meetings. This documentary will focus on the lockdowns in Britain through this timescale, whilst taking accounts from individuals globally to understand how the coronavirus impacted them. This documentary intends to delve into the community of virtual reality users to understand how the usage of the device may or may not have benefited consumers' mental health throughout the coronavirus-caused lockdowns, to understand if there is benefit to individuals owning the device to combat these issues. Research and interviews have been conducted to understand people's perspectives on the idea, alongside debating whether or not the device did serve as a benefit or merely as a toy for entertainment purposes only. The aim of this documentary is to examine pre-existing information crediting the social benefits of virtual reality to the player's mental health, whilst comparing first-hand studies of individuals who had used the device to see what their experience suggests. Over the course of the pandemic, there have been numerous academic reports and studies that have investigated the effects of using a VR headset to combat the negative mental aspects that lockdown has caused. These benefits range from increases in confidence to easing of depressive emotions and feelings, alongside creating safe online spaces for individuals to interact and stay connected. Some argue that the virtual environment has reinforced their ability to interact and better communicate with people by reducing the levels of anxiety felt when interacting socially, which, regardless of the pandemic, is a major benefit to those who struggle from this issue. I interviewed Aidan McDonald, a community manager for a VR group set up during lockdown to help those struggling from the pandemic, as he brought together strangers and friends from the different VR software and games to mutually benefit and support each other throughout the lockdown. So Aidan, why did you buy your VR device?
I mostly got it for some of the social games because all my friends were like playing these sort of games. I had so many of my friends playing VR chat, and I was like, cool, I'll get a VR someday when I get enough money.
Did you see any benefits to using the device throughout the coronavirus lockdowns?
Well, in terms of that, I'd say a lot of mental benefits plus a few social. I have a little bit more self-confidence than I did in like when I first got VR chat in like 2018.
So, post-coronavirus lockdowns, what do you use the device for?
Mostly hanging out with my friends from Discord and whatnot. I have many friends from Discord who all have like, at this point, almost all of them have a VR headset to some varying degree.
So, how do you feel your community helped with issues surrounding coronavirus?
A lot of my dear friends on my Discord are all very supportive of each other. If any of the members of my server are like having an issue with like a depression or an anxiety thing, said friends are more than willing to help with those things.
Do you think that VR can help with issues surrounding isolation with what you've seen from your community?
To that degree, it really depends on like the person and like their personality, and having the ability to walk up to someone and like actually move your arms to like hug someone in like a three-dimensional space. I mean, I suppose that could help someone, because I mean, when you have like a VR, you can, as stated, like move your arms, you move your head, and if you have like full body tracking, then you can move your legs and whatnot. You can move almost anything on you. And I suppose that people who actually have like a VR, it can be a bit more helpful to like depression, anxiety, just sadness in general, if they have the ability to like go up to someone and just like hug them.
For my research, I hosted anonymous questionnaires to understand on a wider scale how people interacted with their devices throughout coronavirus, to better understand what people use the devices for, if they feel it helped, and if they still use their devices. The main reason behind individuals purchasing a VR device during the coronavirus pandemic had 74% of individuals claim for the social reasons, followed by entertainment and gaming. Those who answered stated that they use the device regularly, with an average participant averaging 6 to 10 hours a week interacting with VR. This suggests that those who were using the device spent multiple hours per week inside of social applications, whilst 58% of the survey felt as if VR helped with their mental state throughout the coronavirus pandemic. 54% of the survey found that the device helped with their social skills, whilst 45% of the respondents said that they felt more connected with friends and family when using the device. This research supports the theory that virtual reality can benefit those who utilize the headset for social interaction, and can therefore potentially help boost individuals' social skills and assist with mental health-based issues. The research of Miguel Berreda Angelis studied the benefit of social and spatial presence within VR, using games such as VR Chat and AltSpace for his studies. He conducted an online survey that studied the rate in which individuals use their devices, finding that 67% of the study used VR more than 3 times a week. Miguel's report highlights the high rise of usage in VR for the social aspects and the levels of entertainment that can be drawn from them, whilst he further discusses how virtual reality can be used as a supplement for social interaction in times where socializing may not be possible. I further interviewed Tabitha Thibault, a virtual reality user who utilised the headset throughout the lockdown. They spoke to me about their experiences throughout coronavirus and how VR helped them with the struggles of life during and post-lockdown. So Tabitha, why did you buy your VR device?
I originally bought the VR headset because I wanted interaction with people, and since I'm very I'm already like very introverted. VR I thought was something to help me get me more extroverted, but also hang out with people because I can't do that in real life either.
Do you feel as if your VR headset helped your mental health throughout the coronavirus lockdowns?
And I think the VR set was like a huge help with that, honestly, because it went from like being very isolated all the time. Even though school's there, in my school, you're not really supposed to talk to the students during classes, during lunches and stuff like that. You're not really supposed to talk. So we're already very isolated even before the pandemic. So it went from that to me getting the VR headset and from the being able to not talk to people, being very introverted because of it, becoming more extroverted and interacting with people and getting more out there and having fun and learning things that I liked, such as voice acting and even just playing stupid games on here.
How did COVID and the following lockdowns affect you?
Well, since we weren't allowed outside, we had a lot of regulations that were just everything changed for us for a while. Just going out and getting food became really expensive and hard. And my dad gets paid he gets paid pretty well. He does get off pretty well. But even we were struggling in getting food, making sure our house was paid for, stuff like that. And that's another thing. I think VR was a great distraction from that.
From your experience, do you believe VR is a useful tool for isolation?
Yeah, no, definitely, because it was a way to communicate with friends and basically be more physically active instead of having to just sit in bed or sit on your laptop and just play a computer. You're more active, you're standing up most of the time, you're moving your arms, you're doing a lot of things, and it brings in the reality to it, which makes it so much more fun and makes you more invested and you want to continue playing.
And the final point is, what are your thoughts on the future of virtual reality?
Yeah, I see it a lot. They could be very, very useful, especially to government, to jobs, to so many things. And I wish people would look into it more, especially just modeling and stuff like that. If you ever look into stuff with modeling, it's a good paying job as long as you're doing it right.
Meanwhile, Chelsea D. Boydston discusses the issues with pandemics and long-term isolation, highlighting the issues with social restrictions and the human requirement to socialize, whilst using the coronavirus pandemic as support for this requirement. She discusses how the lack of transportation and equipment for health services to provide assistance with mental health issues become greatly problematic, whilst concluding that future disasters could benefit from utilising this technology to combat negative mental health implications from isolation and restricted social interaction. Daniel Pimentel's report, looking into the use and benefits of virtual reality in mental health, also show positive attributes linked to the device, stating clinically that VR continues to be a valuable tool for practitioners seeking to remedy mental health disorders. These results suggest that the users who engaged with virtual reality devices during the time of isolation and lockdown have seen benefits to their well-being in areas in and outside of the topic of mental health. Socially, the device has been a way to bridge the gap between individuals during isolation, whilst also acting as a great tool for individuals to meet, engage, and interact with new people through the internet in a more personal way. All of the research undertaken has shown that VR has had majority positive improvements to individuals who had utilised the VR device throughout the coronavirus pandemic. Where some academics discuss the possibilities of virtual reality as a remedy for isolation in medical fields, my research has identified areas where the use of virtual realities in homes and the domestic space can act as a tool for individuals who struggle with anxiety and social interaction to better improve their communication skills through the use of social applications. Overall, it can be concluded that virtual reality has helped with users' mental health throughout the coronavirus pandemic, and has evidence to support the claim that those who had used virtual reality during isolation may have experienced less mental health-based issues than those who did not. The study has also highlighted the possibilities of virtual reality in the future, and if there is ever a pandemic or a reason that someone must isolate, then perhaps virtual reality might one day be used as a common remedy for isolation.